Hi, it's John back again with another another model inbox review. Sorry. Today we're looking at the Ilyushin IL-2 Stormovik. Interestingly to know that there are actually three major variants of the Stormovik. There's the IL-2, which was a single-seat tank buster. There's an IL-2m, which was a development of the IL-2 single-seat variant with a second gunner's position in the back. This isn't that. The second gunner's position had an open canopy, and it was called the interim model, or the IL-2m rear gunner's position. And I think Academy do a release of the IL-2m, and then they produced the Il-2m-3, which this is an example of, and it had a proper canopy over the top of the gunner's position. And it's interesting that the Il-2 Stormovik was actually the most mass-produced aircraft in history. It really was a warbird extraordinaire. There were over 42,000 of these aircraft built during the war and in the immediate years after the war. And they even built a development with a much more powerful engine called the Ilyushin Il-10 Beast, which served many air forces right up to the mid-1950s. It certainly saw active service in Korea. But this and the model that I'm actually doing an inbox review on is the Ilyushin Il-2m-3. But which kit am I doing? Well, we're doing this one, which is the 1997 release of the Eduard 1/72nd scale Ilyushin Il-2m Type 3. I've got a lot to say about this kit because I think it's a real gem, but this is the 1997 release, the initial release that Eduard did, and then it sort of stuck in the shops in this guise for quite a number of years until Revell produced a Profi pack in 1998 to run along with it. Now, as you guys probably know, in the early days of Eduard, they just built the kits as they were, but they very quickly entered into a Profi pack and weekend edition. But the Profi pack of this particular kit has resin, unPE parts, and quite a number of detailed decals for different versions. And it wasn't a kit you could assemble in a couple of days. It was something that, it would take you, as I said, it was a Profi pack. It was designed for the more astute and pro builders and maybe IPMS builders. And the Profi pack kit was a really nice model, but it's still the same mold as the 97 release, which didn't have all this extra stuff in. And then in 2010, Eduard did a weekend edition of this kit, which removed all of the resin and all of the PE parts and just produced a standard decal sheet, I believe for 2 or 3 versions at the most, but they actually called the aircraft the Il-2m-3 Stormovik. And the Eduard kit is a nice kit. I'll show you. We'll have a look at the bits and pieces inside the box in a minute, but I'll show you a nice image. This is of the Il-2m. This is the one that didn't have the canopy in the back. It was classed as the interim rear gunner's position model. So now there's also a single seat model available, which I believe you can get from Academy and a number of other companies as well. But we'll just pan the camera down very quickly and we'll have a look at this really quite delightful little kit, because when I first got my hands on this, I thought, that's really nice. On the front cover, it's a bit beaten, the box, I know, but everything inside is really it's perfectly all right. Front cover, you got an image of the aircraft with somebody's number 2 flying beside him. On the side, there's just for information about the particular kit. The model's built in Oberenice in the Czech Republic, and it's serial number 7010 in 72nd scale. And it's an open top lid kit, which I quite like. I always like open top lid kits. I think they fare better than the side opening or the rear side opening boxes. We'll have a look at this stuff in a minute. And we'll get that stuff out in a minute, but I want to show you a couple of things first of all. Inside the box, you've got a 1997 edition of the Eduard news. These, I would imagine, are quite collectible, but this is a 1997 newsletter of new kits that were released in 1997. And as you can see, there's a number of quite nice looking models. You know, there's these are all 1/48th, apart from the two at the bottom, which is the Il-2m-3 and the Il-2m-3 Profi pack. This didn't come out until 1998, which was interesting. But anyway, that's just a little newsletter. I thought I'd give you a look at that. And then we'll have a look at the plans, and we'll look at the decals in a minute. The instruction leaflet it's about A5, isn't it? A nice sort of colourised black and white picture, if you can call it that, of a repeat of the original image on the front of the box. And then you've got some stats and information in 4 different languages on the front, and the English section is the second one down. And then you open the plans, and the first thing you're greeted with in the plans is a paint call out guide and a sprue tree plan, which I'm always a big fan of the sprue tree plans. And you've got some key notes there to do what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and all that, which is common on most instruction leaflets. The call out plans are quite good as well. They've got Humbrol numbers there, Revell numbers, testers, Aeromaster and Tamiya numbers, all listed on the instruction leaflet, which is nice. And then you've got a parts plan. There are 3 sprues on this kit, although one of them's broken off to make a 4th. And that transparency, you'll see that in a minute, is really nice. But anyway, that's the parts plan. I'm a great fan of those. Then you go through the instructions and it tells you how to build this kit. And the first thing I noticed from this particular kit, because I have built another company's Ilyushin IL-2, and that was the Airfix kit, is the difference in the way in which these kits build together. This kit has got quite an extensively detailed cockpit interior, which you do not put into the fuselage halves. The fuselage halves accommodate the exhaust pipes and also the decking here, which you can see on the top of the fuselage, which goes in after you've put the fuselage halves together, goes in the upper decking section, and that C5 part is a grommet for the propeller to fit onto, and you'll see that in a minute. And then you put the instrument panel into the fuselage there with a couple of other bits and bobs that go inside the fuselage to make up some of the detail, but the majority of the detail goes on top of the wing, as you can see in a minute. Then you put the wings together in section 2, and the bulkheads and some of the bits and bobs that go into this, including C25, which is the rear of the pilot seat. And then in the second subsection you've got the gunner's seat, the pilot seat, joystick and pedals, and then there's an image there showing you how it should look from the side, so you get everything in the right place, which is nice. Yeah, I quite like that. And then you assemble the fuselage and the airframe together with the tail planes at the back there, wings, cockpit interior, everything all goes together. And then in section 3, which is interesting because I would have called that section 3 and this would have been section 4, but Eduard, there we go. You put some minor fittings in the tail wheel in place on the airframe, a few navigation lights, quite nice. And then section 4, here we go again. I would have called this section 5 and 6, but never mind, Eduard. There you go. Undercarriage, you have to decide whether you want the undercarriage up or down, but they are just explaining how to have the undercarriage set so that it can be down, lowered into position. I do believe the main undercarriage wheels will rotate, which is quite nice. The IL-2's undercarriage arrangement was actually quite a solid thing, because this thing was built like a tank and it was as heavy as a tank. It was not a light aircraft, and in many cases a lot of Stormoviks, the pilots, when they were getting used to flying them initially, found them quite difficult to get off the ground when they were fully loaded with bombs and bullets because of all the armoured plate around the aircraft. The lower section there is the cockpit interior, gun position and the canopies. You can have a single piece canopy like there with a gun at the back and an antenna on the top, or you can have a more detailed interior with different parts available to put into various different positions, which I think is a nice touch. So well done there for Eduard, I like that. And then the finishing touches are a few antennas, a couple of cannons that go in place. I think you have to make some of these, not sure, 2 plastic rods. That would normally mean you have to make them, but they might be just different variations of C17 and 18, I'm not sure. And then on the bottom section there, you've got the bomb construction, the propeller assembly. It's quite straightforward and quite easy to understand and follow. And then you've got the paint guide. Now Eduard have done something quite interesting here, because they put a paint guide in which tells you where to put various different colours on the aircraft, and you relate those numbers to the paint guide and the call outs on the front page. And then on the back you've got an alternative paint guide for a different version, and then you've got the application of the decals. These are common. These are the 2 different applications of decals for the 2 different versions, and I'll explain what the different versions are when we go through the conclusions and the gun from the kit. But that's the instructions. There's quite a lot to this kit. I think it's going to be quite nice. The decals look quite nice as well, but I've heard horror stories about Eduard decals, so we'll have to see what happens. But these are really nice. They're in register. They're some of the best Russian stars I've ever seen on a 72nd scale kit. They're really nice. The numbers are in good order. They look really nice decals. So again, I'm quite happy with those. Transparencies. I'll open the transparency because I want you guys to be able to see what we've got in here, because this transparency sprue is really good. From what I've seen through the bag. There's the full piece canopy, which as you can see, it's really clear, it's crystal clear. I'm looking at the picture of the Il-2m I've got on the screen in front of me, and that is incredibly accurate. It looks really, really good, and the individual parts are crystal clear. There's a bit of flash here and there on them, but they're crystal clear parts, so I'm really pleased with that as well. And that's the forward windshield at the end, and that looks spot on as well according to this photo I've got of the real aircraft during the war. There's the navigation light, again that's crystal clear, so I'm quite pleased with that. Should would come into focus a bit better, but they look really good. I'm quite pleased with those transparency parts. Now then, we'll have a look at this sprue first. Have a look at this first, because there's something on this kit which I was really shocked about, and I wasn't sure whether they were raised or engraved panel lines, but believe it or not, they're actually engraved panel lines, and I hope you can see them here. But the detail of the panel lines on them is so fine, you can barely tell whether they're raised or whether they're engraved, but they are engraved and they're very fine, as they should be in 1/72nd scale. The forward structure of the nacelle there for the engine, the forward nose section, is about as misshaped as the original aircraft is, and various parts here. There's not a lot of flash on this kit in the actual parts themselves, but then I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of flash because this is one of the early generation 1997 releases, so that's quite nice. But the parts look quite nice, quite impressed with that. And I hope you can see the detail on this tail fin, which again is really nice as well, and the fine panel lines, really, really nice. There's not much detail going on inside, but there is some faint panel lines inside, which I hope you can see. The camera's not going to pick it up very well, is it? Yeah, I thought not. Can it pick it up now? Not really. There are some faint panel lines in there for the interior, so you know, you guys who like washes and messing about with bits and bobs and pieces, I think you'll have a field day with this kit. But this kit is very finely detailed, and it looks really accurate. So I'm quite pleased with that. That's that sprue. Pop that into there. And then we've got these two sprues as well. And these two sprues, these are really nice. I'll show this one last because that sprue is incredible. On this sprue, we've got a couple of parts which aren't actually used on the Il-2-3M. They're used on the Il-2. But I don't know why they're in, or maybe there was a different version with the Profi pack, I'm not sure. But these parts are, again, they're nicely moulded, they're crisp, there's no flash on any of them whatsoever. Even the undercarriage, really nicely moulded. Very, very pleased with that. The paddle propeller is very nice. The exhaust stubs, they're nice as well, they come up quite good. I like that. The wheels, they're pretty bland, but to be honest with you, the Russian wheels on the Stormovik were pretty much like that anyway. And C17 and C18 are actual parts on the sprue, there they are, so I don't have to make them out of expanded sprue. There's the instrument panel. The instrument panel has got a slightly recessed, unraised dial arrangement, which is quite nice. That could paint up really nice. Tail wheels quite nicely moulded as well. It's a very nicely, intricately moulded kit. I'm very, very surprised by this model. With the level and detail and the quality on it, it's really good. And then we have the last sprue. Just show you the tail plane. Tail plane has fine engraved panel lines. Yeah, I was shocked. They're very fine and they're very difficult to tell whether they're engraved or raised, but they are actually engraved. There's a little bit of detail in the upper wing for the wheel wells, which is quite nice. And then you have another propeller spinner that I think is the one you use on the kit, but I'm not 100% sure. And then you've got these really lovely moulded wings with the intricate detail on them. Really, really nice. I'm very, very pleased with those. Even the underside, the panel lines, yeah, they're recessed. Can you believe it? Very, very fine, finely detailed, really nicely moulded kit. Very pleased with that indeed. Very, very nice kit. So that's the inbox view. I'm just going to read all the gumph. There is a little bit of information which I think could be quite handy if you want to build a Stormovik in 72nd scale. And there's the box, so you can have a look at it. It's quite a nice image on the box there. Anyway, the kit we're building is the Eduard Ilyushin Il-2m-3 Stormovik. Its serial number is 7010 and its release date was 1997, and the kit is moulded in 1/72nd scale. Now there are decals for two versions. White 22 is an Il-2m-3 Stormovik of the Ground Attack Regiment flown by G.T. Bergerhoff, 1944 to 45. Now G.T. Bergerhoff was actually a ground attack pilot that served during World War II, who went on to become a cosmonaut in the space program in Russia, and he had a very successful career. But he was named twice Hero of the Soviet Union. The second version is Blue 22, an Il-2m-3 Stormovik of the 3rd Czechoslovakian Squadron 1945, and that aircraft was involved in the liberation of Czechoslovakia from the Germans in that year. Now, the kit contains 65 parts on 4 grey plastic sprues and 6 parts on a transparent sprue, making 71 parts in total. The dimensions of the kit are 6 inches in length by an 8-inch wingspan, and it should sit just under 2 inches on its undercarriage. Now the options and costs, again I've only listed 1/72nd scale, but the standalone kits are quite interesting. Academy do an IL-2 Stormovik, retailing for about £13 to £20. That's a single seater. They also do an IL-2M Stormovik for £15 to £17, and they also do a second model of the IL-2M, which contained a Panther tank for ground attack purposes and dioramas, and that kit retails for anything between £28 and £40. Airfix did IL-2m-3 Stormovik, which retails for anything between £13 and £25, and they also did an IL-2m-3 Stormovik with an FW190D dogfight double, and this kit retails for anything between £8.50 and £30. Big Model do an Il-2m-3 Stormovik for about £6 to £13, and Dacoplast do an Il-2m, an Il-2m, they do an IL2, an IL2m, an Il-2m3, and an IL-2T Stormovik. The T variant carried the torpedo, and these kits can range anything between £5.50 and £15. Eduard's release of the Il-2m3 Stormovik retails for anything between £5 and £15, and Hobby Boss did an Il-2m3 Stormovik for £8 to £12. Smur also did an IL-2 Stormovik for £10 to £44. Yes, there are a few people trying to get that sort of money for it. And Tamiya did an IL-2 Stormovik, which I believe is an M3, and that retails for anything between £15 and £29. The Tamiya kit is reputed to be the best 72nd scale IL-2 on the market. Toko also did an IL-2, an IL-2M, and an IL-2M3 Stormovik, anything between £10 and £20, and ZTS Plastic did an IL-2 and an IL-2M3 Stormovik for anything between £9 and £12. There were a few reboxings going on. Airfix by Craftmaster reboxed the original Airfix kit, as did Airfix Gunzai, Airfix Lodella. They all released the original Airfix kit. I've got no details of pricings on any of those. Arc Models also reboxed an IL-2 as a reboxed Decoplast kit. No pricings available on that either. Eastern Express did an IL-2M and IL-2M3 Stormovik, which is a reboxed Decoplast kit, for £12 to £16, and Intec did a IL-2M3 Stormovik, which was a reboxed SMER kit, for £15 to £20. Kit Pro did an IL-2 Stormovik, which is a reboxed Frog unfinished project kit. No details available on that, but they're quite rare. Kovasavodi Prostojov, or KP Models, they did an IL-2M Stormovik, which is a reboxed Smur kit, for £20 to £68. Mastercraft and Mr. Craft do an IL-2M Stormovik, which are both reboxed ZTS plastic kits. The Mastercraft kit retails between £11 and £12, and the Mr. Craft kit is anything between £12 and £15. Model List do two reboxings, one of the Academy kits, no prices available on that, and one of the Decoplast kits of the 2M3 and the 2T, no pricings available on those. Nova Export also did an IL-2 Stormovik, which was a completed Frog project kit, no pricings available on those, but I'm guessing again they'll be quite high. And Zlinek did an IL-2 Stormovik, which is a reboxed Decoplast kit, for £6 to £8, and Zvezda did an IL-2 Stormovik, which is a reboxed Toko kit, for £3.50 to £18. Conclusions. Well, this kit seems really nice, with very fine recessed panel lines and very little in the way of flash to clean up. The kit has good reviews from pro builders, and they remark on its accuracy and attention to detail inside the cockpit. The transparent parts are really nice, with an option of open or closed canopies. The decals look okay, but there are issues often found with applying Eduard decals, so we'll see how they go. I think this kit is going to be a while in the making, as it's not an easy build. The Airfix IL-2s was so looking forward. The Eduard kit is going to be quite a long time in the making, as it's not an easy build as the Airfix IL-2 was, and I'm so looking forward to this one, and I hope I can do it some justice. Kits worthy of note are the Tamiya kit, as this is the best IL-2 in 72nd scale on the market, as it leads all the others in accuracy. The second in line is the Decoplast kit, which is also very nice. The Eduard kit is a very good third, and the Academy kit, being based in the Accurate Miniatures Unfinished project, coming a close fourth. I would recommend this kit for any modeler, as it seems to be a good offering at any level. So good going, Eduard, well done for that. I want to make a correction there, because the Accurate Miniature kit was an unfinished project which was produced by Novo Export and then reboxed by Intec. No, it wasn't Intec, it was Kit Pro. Kit Pro reboxed those two kits. The Academy kit is actually a standalone model, and it does have issues around the nose. So, but it is quite a good kit, and again, the pro builders quite like it. Models to steer clear of, I would almost certainly say, are the Smear kits, the Mastercraft, and the Mr.Craft kits, as these kits are absolutely terrible. So good luck with those. Anyway, that's the inbox review finished. I hope the video's been of some use. If you have any questions, queries, just put them in the comments box. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Hope your modelling projects are going smooth, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.